Hello and welcome to the Aquarius Podcast. I'm your host, Randy Reed. This episode of the Aquarius Podcast is sponsored by OASE. OASE is well known for their line of outdoor pond and water garden products and are now stepping into the indoor aquatics market. Their lineup includes products like the internal BioPlus filters and external Biomaster canister filters. Both lines of filtration offer models with heater integration to help you declutter your tank and show off your plants and fish. OASE also has a great selection of aquariums in their Biorb line. Their Biorb Cube aquarium actually won the award for Best Aquarium Product at the Super Zoo Trade Show. So check out these great products and more by clicking on the links in the show notes. Now, on to the interview. Today's date is Sunday, April 14th, 2019. My guest today is Trinh. Hai is the co-founder of UFA, which is the United Flowerhorn Association. He and I are going to dive into the world of flowerhorns and what makes these fish awesome enough to have their own association. So Hai, welcome to the Aquarius Podcast.
Thank you for having me, Randy.
No, thank you for taking time out of your lovely Sunday. You are down in Southern California, so you're getting all of the great weather that the rest of the country does not get.
We're spoiled. We're spoiled with this nice, hot, sunny day, but I think we're going to get some rain soon. But we're enjoying it right now as much as we can be.
And by soon, in rain down in Southern California, like a 16th of an inch is like a torrential downpour in Southern California. And unfortunately, just the way your hillsides and the soil is, right? Like even if you get a little bit of rain, it's like the chance of flooding is crazy, right?
Well, here's the thing. Once it starts to sprinkle, you see accidents on the freeway. It's that crazy. People don't know how to learn how to drive in the rain, and it's kind of sad to say that, but it's funny at the same time. But this year, though, we got a lot of water, and so the hills on the streets on the freeways are full of flowers, like bloomed flowers. And the funny thing was, I was driving up north the other day, and there was traffic, and I was wondering what the traffic was for. And people were pulling over to the side of the freeway to take pictures with those wildflowers on the hills, because it's like they've never seen it before or something. It's just so funny. It's funny, but at the same time, it's like, okay, we're kind of appreciating nature, I guess.
Yeah, no, and hopefully not causing too many accidents in the process. But yeah, I mean,
it's causing a lot of traffic jams.
Well, to be fair, you are in Southern California, which is is like the birthplace of the traffic jam, I think.
Yeah, well, that's why I don't live in LA.
This is true. Where you are is different than Los Angeles, so that is for certain.
I could not. If I live in LA, I would pull my hair out, because every hour, every day, every minute, anytime there will be traffic. And it's just crazy. I mean, it's just, I don't know how people can stand that.
I don't know how they do it either. My hat is off to you if you live in the greater LA area.
Right.
People of the show have probably heard me mention that I've lived in San Diego I used to live in San Diego for about 3 years before we moved up to the Seattle area. And the few times that we had to drive through, to go north-south, because my wife and I are both originally from Northern California. I'm so anal. I'm so anti-LA traffic that I would plan our trip, like a 10-hour trip, that we would go through LA, whether we are leaving San Diego or we're coming from Northern California. Like, I would hit it between 2 and 3 a.m. Like, that's like to the T how I would plan my travel, because that's like the only time you can kind of get through LA. Yeah. But the crazy thing is there's still traffic at 3 a.m. because they're doing road construction somewhere in Los Angeles.
There's an area in LA that it's been forever construction, and as long as I could remember that. I mean, it was funny. I was just riding through there with my brother the other day, and we're like, this area is always in construction. I mean, ever since, like, as long as we've known this LA or Southern California, and it's like it's just so crazy. I don't know why or when they're going to finish it, but I'm glad I don't live there. I'm glad. I like you. If I plan to go up to LA, because I have to go through the San Clemente checkpoint area. If I don't get past that by 10 a.m. in the morning, forget it. I'm not going, because traffic would start there. Yeah, and it's crazy.
It is
crazy.
It is absolutely crazy. I would probably have to vape and smoke cigarettes at the same time if I was in that commute. Like, I think that would just be my coping mechanism while I listen to just hours and hours of podcasts of every subject possible.
I just picture that movie Anger Management whenever I'm in LA with the LA traffic, with that Michael Douglas movie, that Anger Management.
Is that the one with? Isn't Jack Nicholson in that one with the
No,
dog?
no, it's Michael Douglas. He was stuck in traffic and he got really upset and stuff, and then he went to McDonald's, and then it was 10:29 or something like that, and he wanted breakfast, and they said breakfast is over at 10:30 or something like that, and he goes, it's not 10:30, and so
yeah, that's the one that's the much more serious movie, right? Like that one's not yeah. I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah, it's a crazy movie. So I'm just thinking that every time I'm stuck in LA traffic. But anyway, enough about LA traffic.
So hopefully we can pull this back, and if anybody's still listening after this intro, so hi, clearly you and I are probably going to have a pretty good conversation. So let's go ahead and talk about fish. We'll talk about Flowerhorns. Kind of the reason why people tuned in, and I always fall back to this is a free show, so you kind of have to hang along for the ride if you want to enjoy the podcast. So, all right. So, hi. How did you get started keeping tropical fish? What were some of your first memories of this hobby?
Well, I've always liked fish. My name in Chinese means ocean, and I mean, I'm not saying that just because of that I'm into fish. It's just because I've always liked. Growing up, my mom wouldn't allow us to have like pets like dogs or cats or whatever. So the only pet I could have is a fish. So I started off with like betas because they're like the easiest to care for. Because you just put them in a little jar or whatever, and they don't really need aeration or anything, and they'll live. And then I graduated to a 10-gallon tank with guppies. And then I was just like taking care of guppies, and then taking care of then finally a goldfish, and then finally growing up I got to have an Oscar, one of those albino Oscars, albino tiger Oscars.
Mm-hmm.
I love those. I mean, they were so nice. They're just the attitude, the character, the way the fish looks, and the aggressiveness of it. And I grew into liking those type of cichlids type style fish. And then I just didn't know anything more about fish. And then I grew older, and I'm like, okay, I'm able to get my own stuff, and I started collecting saltwater fish. And I started off doing corals. I thought, I went to everywhere you go, you see like nice saltwater tanks with corals and everything, all the different colors and everything. I'm like, okay, I'm going to dive into that.
So hi,
Wrong.
let me interrupt you for one. yeah, that's what I hear about saltwater. Let's just paint the picture timeline wise. So when were you when you got your first betta as a kid, and now that you're jumping into corals, like what's this kind of time that has elapsed?
Well, that's like from elementary up until like college years. I didn't do corals and saltwater until I'm like in college, when I'm able to afford it. But that was a big mistake.
You're not supposed to afford anything in college. What's going on, man?
Know.
You're supposed to be just top ramen and hot dogs and beer.
Well, I got lucky. And so I was like, no, because saltwater is an expensive hobby. If you don't know what you're doing, you can just buy corals and not know what to do, and they will die, and you'll go buy some more, and they'll die some more. And I said, no, this is not for me. So then I'm like, okay, let me try seahorses, because I've always wanted a seahorse. I was able to keep a pair of seahorse in a 20-gallon tank for a long time. So I was very happy with that.
How long would you say is a long time? Because to me, one, not wanting to turn this into a saltwater episode, which at some point I kind of do want to have a saltwater episode just for grins and giggles.
Right.
I feel like a seahorse would be a more delicate thing to try to keep. And so what's kind of the average expectation of somebody?
I don't know. I don't know how long usually they last, but for me, I had it for over 2.5 years, so that's a long time for me.
That's pretty good, yeah.
I mean, if they live more than a month, I'm happy, But it was 2.5 years, and then I was on a business trip, and I had my mom take care of it, and I had water, because for salt water you have to prepare the water, and because the right salinity, the right pH, everything. So I have water prepared, and I have it in a bucket with a water pump to aerate it and stuff. And I said, Mom, whenever this tank needs to refill water, please use. I guess she was busy or doing something, and she forgot, and she just used tap water to fill up. I know. I came
that doesn't
home
sound
and it
good.
was gone. It was
Oh,
gone. They
no.
were gone. Yeah, they didn't make it. I was so bad. I was so sad. I mean, because they were like a pair already, and they were like, but anyway. So there goes my seahorses.
Oh man,
So
it's crazy to think how long, potentially had that not happened, how long, you actually would
I
have
would
had
have
them
been able
for.
to breed them, right? They would have paired up, and I would be able to breed them. And it's like, oh well.
Yeah,
so sad.
That's crushing, man. I mean, it's a good thing it's
Yeah.
Mom though, so you can forgive her.
Yeah,
Or
I
do you
know,
still
I
secretly
know.
hold a grudge to this day?
Nah, I still talk about it. I said, remember, Mom, when you use regular tap water? She would say, oh, okay, sorry.
And so
But
I guess what happens after the seahorses then?
well, after the seahorses is like just I wanted to do a little bit more saltwater, so I just got some regular clownfish and those dragonite fish. Those I forget those green dragonites.
I'll have to let's use
They're
the
really
Googles.
pretty.
So green
Yeah, it's called
dragon.
green, but they're blue. But they're
Let's see here.
really nice. It's they're called green dragons or
the green dragon pipefish?
no. They eat copepods. They eat copepods off the. You need to have your tank at least with like live rock for at least over 6 months or so, and have it established before you can have them, because they don't eat frozen food or pellet food or anything. And they just Mandarin dragons, green Mandarin dragons. That's what they're called.
Oh, okay, yeah. Those are very pretty.
Super pretty. I have that, and I have some those clownfish, and it was nice. But anyhow, that's one saltwater thing. But going back to the cichlid world, I had an Oscar, one of those albino tiger Oscars, and I had one at my work office, and it got to like maybe 5-6 inches. It got kind of big, and one day came to work, he was gone, and I figured, oh no, where did he go? And I couldn't find him. A couple of days later, I found him behind the desk.
Oh no.
So I figured, oh my gosh, I didn't know that these guys could jump. I didn't know that they can jump and
you had just an open top tank?
No, I had a lid. I had a lid on it.
Oh, he busted through the lid.
He busted through the lid.
Wow.
Right. Yeah. So from that point on, I was kind of devastated. I didn't know what to do. So then I was on a business trip, and I was in China. And then
And so
I went
what year is this on the business trip?
Oh my goodness, this was like in 2008.
Okay.
2008, something like that. And then I went on a business trip, and every office I went to in China had a Flowerhorn in their office. So I was like, what kind of fish is this? It's such a pretty fish, right? It had like a big head, like we call it a coke. It's spelled K-O-K. People pronounce it the other way.
They pronounce it cock, and I think I've pronounced it that way, right? I mean, not thinking that it's cock, but it's coke.
But it's coke, yeah,
Okay.
like the Coca-Cola Coke.
Okay.
So I was looking at the fish, and it had like really nice markings on the side, which is like like Chinese characters, and then it had like really nice colors and pearlings and everything, and it just follows my hand. Like I would move my hand around, and it would just follow me. And I'm like, holy cow, this fish is so cool. I've never seen a fish that interacts to me like that,
Mm-hmm.
And I would ask them what it's called, and they would say it in Chinese, but then I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, okay. And so I have always had that fish in my head. So I came home from my trip, and I'm like, what the heck is that fish called? How can I find one? I want one. I must have one. So I looked it up, and I would type in the word flower, or something, and it popped up, and it came up, and it came up to be Flowerhorns. So I'm like, oh wow, that is so awesome. So I got my first Flowerhorn after that. But
nice.
The thing.
Oh, I'm sorry. So I was going to say, I guess one of the questions I have is, there is a very, very good chance that I will be going to China later this year. My first time visiting there. And for you, if you can remember going back there in 2008, was that your first? That sounds like an ice cream man in the background.
Yeah.
Nice. All right.
Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Don't even worry about it.
I'm sitting in my room and with the nice breeze and everything, and this ice cream truck drives by.
No, it adds a little bit. It adds a little bit for the audience, and I'm totally leaving that in. This is all staying in the podcast. So going back. Yeah.
So people would know that this is like real. This is live. This is not like stage.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Cue the ice cream man. Enter ice cream truck. Right.
Right.
All right. So you're 2008. Was seeing the Flowerhorns in kind of everybody's office? Was that the only touch point that you had with the Chinese side of the hobby, or did you do any other, like going to the Chinese fish markets or fish stores or anything like that?
I would ask them what Flowerhorns would be, or I mean, what it's for, why they would have it in their office and everything, and they would tell me that the Flowerhorn fish is okay. So let me give a little history about Flowerhorns.
Yes, please.
So the Flowerhorn fish is man-made. So we don't really know the origin of who started it first and what made the Flowerhorn. But there's a Chinese god. It's the Fu Shao god. He's the guy with the big forehead, and he's like one of the prosperity, health, wealth god. And they wanted to replicate a fish like that, and so they did. And the Flowerhorn fish had been, well, people have believed that they have had a lot of luck owning the Flowerhorn fish, and the bigger the Coke, the more luck you get. So there were stories about a woman who looked at her Flowerhorn fish, and on the side with the writing, kind of, she got some numbers from it, and so she bought the lottery and she won the lottery.
Oh,
and
wow.
there's so many stories about things, and I mean, we don't know if it's true, we don't know to believe it or not, but whatever, that's if you want to believe it, if you don't, no worries.
What have you heard as far as, so we don't know who exactly bred it, but are we pretty certain that it was somebody in China?
Yeah, it's in Asia.
Okay.
And then I actually met the man who coined the word Flowerhorns. We were doing our UFA Flowerhorn competition in Singapore, and the man, we invited him to be one of our judges. He's from Malaysia, so we invited him to be one of our judges for our competition in Singapore. And so we got to talk and stuff, and I didn't know at first that he was the guy who created the word Flowerhorns, So we're like talking and stuff. And he goes, "Yeah, I'm writing a book, about flowers." I'm like, "Oh, you are?" He goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "Yeah." And back in the time, we didn't know how to say it in English, so I just named the word Flowerhorn. I'm like, "Oh, you named the word Flowerhorns?" He goes, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." So it's kind of neat to meet someone who actually named the fish Flowerhorns, in English. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of cool with that. But
what do people think as far as like when this fish started to come onto the scene in Asia? Was it 20, 30 years ago, or was it longer than that?
I think I think it's like longer. I think it's like 20 something years.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's been a long time there, because there were people who have had it before. Like there was like a boom of the of the Flowerhorn thing. There was like a huge boom several years before I got to see it in 2008. So I would believe maybe early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
Or
and then even before that, there's probably a good amount of just generational breeding, right, to get it to what it is now.
One of
the things I wanted to inform the guests on, or not the guests, I'm sorry, the audience. So some of the research that I've done on the Flowerhorn, it looks like they've narrowed it down to maybe, what is this, 2, 4, 6 potential fish that the Flowerhorn could have origins from. Mm-hmm. 2 of them are in the Amphilophus genus, and that's going to be the Midas cichlid and the red devil cichlid. There's two in the Cyclosoma family. That's the red-eyed cichlid, which is also called the three-spot cichlid or the trimac, and then the red terror. And looking at the Google pictures, the trimac, like that thing looks super close as far as coloration and patterning to like kind of a common flowerhorn right now. And then there's another one that's going to be the redhead cichlid, the Paranitropus Cynoplus. I'm going to butcher that one. People know I butcher these Greek and Latin names. And then the last one would be a blood parrot, which is a mix between a Midas and a redhead. So between those 6 different fish, I'm sure if you mix them around enough, you start kicking out some different variants. And, inevitably we have some of the modern flowerhorns that we have now because of these fish. And, in their own respects, each of these, well, with the exception of the blood parrot, that's going to be a mix, like these naturally occurring fish are already really, really pretty fish in and of themselves. So for somebody to kind of work with a couple different fish from different genuses and mix them together, which I'm assuming you're able to then mix a cyclosoma with another genus if that's what they're doing. That's what the research is kind of saying. So yeah, I don't know. I've never made my own fish before.
Well, the thing is, it from like a breeding, I've bred them before, but I've never like started out from like 0.0, I just put like a male and a female together and then I made some babies. But, and then you can't really call that your line, and you can't really call that, I made flowerhorns, because it's already been, for someone like a breeder to have like a really nice line, it takes them years to breed, one pair and then inbreed with another pair, like their offsprings, or then mix it with another one. It takes so many pairs and so many years. Because you have to pick out, like, for example, you need to pick out like ones with like a really nice coloring, or not ones with nice size head, the finnage. You want like big tails and big dorsal fin, things like that. Pearls. It's, you gotta like pick those out to breed whatever. But so I've never, like, I don't have time for, and I don't want to. I'd rather have people do it, and then I just get the fish. But it takes a long time. And then the original, like the flowerhorns that I got, the first one resembled a lot of the trimac fish. So then I've graduated to getting nicer and better looking flowerhorns after that.
And so where does your first flowerhorn come from then?
My first one came from a pet store by my work. And I think it was I guess he got it from someone breeding from their home or whatever. And I didn't know much about the care of flowerhorns. I didn't know that they needed warmer temperature water. I didn't know that they needed a higher pH. So my first couple didn't survive long because my water was too cold, or the pH level was too high, too low, or so many factors. And so finally I went online, and then I found Flowerhorn Craze, the website. I don't know if you've heard of Flowerhorn Craze, but it was before the Facebook times. And it's where everyone hung out and everyone learned how to take care of flowerhorns and things like that. And then so I go on there and I learned and I got a little bit more knowledge about flowerhorns and the flowerhorn care and things like that. And so, yeah.
And so to kind of hit those general points, then, if somebody is interested in keeping flowerhorns, what are kind of the guidelines of water parameter and temperature that somebody should, if they're going to set up a tank for a flowerhorn, that they should be trying to hit?
Well, flowerhorns tend to grow big. I've seen ones that are like bigger than 15 inches. I had one that was huge. I think he was like maybe 16, almost 18 inches.
That's a huge fish.
It's a huge fish. Yeah. I had him in a 90-gallon, but the minimum size tank you would want for a flowerhorn is 55 gallons. And then the water temperature would be around 82 to 84 degrees.
Oh, that's really warm.
Yeah, it's very warm. And then the pH would be about 7.8. So it's a bit high.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you would want me, I personally like to have a nice background from like a nice blue water wave type background. And then on the bottom I would usually paint it red to help reflect the coloration of it. And I just like to keep them, with a hang on bag filtration and a canister filter. I believe that over filtration is better than under filtration.
Hmm.
That's my personal thing, but that's how I am. And I would usually do a water change once a week. And I usually like to keep my tanks bare bottom, except for a couple handfuls of coral chips. The coral chips will do help with the pH balance to raise it. And then at the same time, coral chips, to me, I believe that it would help collect the fish waste and any kind of debris in the tank. It would clump together in the coral chip bundles. And then
Hmm.
whenever I want to do a water change, I use that one of the Python vacuum sucking things.
Yep.
And I just go over the coral chips and it would just suck everything up. And it would
Gotcha.
just, yeah. And I would just wipe it down with my paper, like a thick paper towel, or around the edges of the tank or the sides and the bottom, and then done.
And now, so let's unpack a little bit these coral chips. And how different is that going to be from just the normal crushed coral that we see from Carib Sea or any of these other companies that are producing a very kind of finer gravel crushed coral?
I don't really like the finer ones, because the finer ones would get into the filtration system. I would like to get like the medium size at least. It's porous and it'll help collect the bacteria and everything, and at the same time it would help hold debris and food waste.
So I feel like freshwater specialty store, like a store that's going to specialize in freshwater, at least the aquarium co-op where I work, we carry the finer. And I say fine, it's not like a sand, right? It's more of like a pea size or a little bit smaller.
Okay.
Is the coral chips going to be something that somebody would find at more of a saltwater specialty store?
I have seen them at regular look. They're a local fish store would have it. I've seen them there.
Interesting. Now, does that local fish store tend to bias a little bit more towards Flowerhorns in general? No. Okay.
No, it's just because they have, I don't know, maybe because they have core chips for other people's saltwater tanks or cichlids or whatever. But no, I've seen them around. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about painting the bottom of the tank red. I've never heard anybody talk about that before. I mean, as you explained it, it kind of makes a little sense, but where did you pick that up? And, maybe help me understand a little bit more about what that bottom red is doing, right? And does it detract from the overall appearance of the tank?
Yeah, well, here the thing is that I've noticed is that when you paint the tank bottom red, and when you have like a LED light on the top, it kind of and then the fish, it kind of reflects the red off of it and bounces onto the fish, and it kind of helps heightens the colors of the fish. So, because most flower horns have the red coloration,
Mm-hmm.
and to me, when I've had a dark, like a dark background, a dark gravel and everything, and the fish stayed dark, like really dark, and I didn't like it. I want my fish to be colorful and bright and happy. So I've learned throughout the years. I've had tanks that I painted blue in the back, but I've also used a background on the back of the tank, but they're all red bottom. So, but I've learned that from going to some breeders in Thailand. So they would have a red bottom for every one of their tanks.
Yeah, that's one of those things.
So,
If you're actually going to the source, like if you're going to the breeders and you're seeing
Yeah.
all the tricks that they're doing,
Yes.
it's really
Yeah.
it's really hard to not be like, yeah, I should probably just do what they're doing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this one particular breeder, he specializes in like really nice VIP type fish, flowerhorns, and he has a red plastic on the bottom of his tank. I mean, sitting on top, his tank sitting on top of it. And I would ask him, like, why would you have the red? And he says, it helps reflects the color and blah, blah. So I'm like, instead of having that plastic thing, I'm just going to paint the bottom, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
how long did you go back and forth on deciding what color of red? Because I paint all of my tanks, my sides, my bottoms, my backs black, and I just get the Rust-Oleum black enamel paint because I can basically glob it on, and in one coat I'm done. Just let it dry.
You know, I've learned. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's fine. No, it's all right.
But I learned that I would use these Plasti Dip paint.
Oh, okay.
It's much. Yeah, because if like after you paint it, if you don't like it, you can just peel it off. Because I've painted tanks with regular paint before, and it's kind of hard to get the right shade, and then if I don't like it, it's a pain in the butt to scrape it off. So for I would use Plasti Dip, and I would use I forget. I think it's either Fire Engine Red or Candy Apple Red. Is one of the red colors that I have for the bottom of the tank. And on the sides, when I painted it blue, it was I think it was called Blaze Blue.
Mm-hmm. But for the red though, it sounds like you probably did go through a couple iterations on what color of red you like.
I forget which one Plasti Dip had, because this has been a while since I painted. It's either Candy Apple Red, or I think it's Candy Apple Red.
Huh.
So because it's shiny and it's
Mm-hmm.
So
no, that's neat, man. That's like just pulling that out of your bag of tricks, man. Yep, I've got a bottom of my tank is painted red. Helps the red pop more on the fish.
Yeah, and then you put the white coral chips on it, and it just pops, and it's like really cool.
Oh, nice.
You know, another trick that I've learned about tank wise, you know, like how when you put your, like if you have like a wallpaper thing for the tank
mm-hmm.
in the back. And some people would just tape it, right? And when you tape the back of the wallpaper thing, when you turn on the lights of the aquarium lights, it looks dark, right? But when you turn the lights off, it looks fine. So a trick to where when you turn the lights on, it makes the background picture pop. And you know, like they sell this product called Sea View. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's like it's a bottle. It's like a little tiny bottle, and it's like oily. For it's like $5.50 or so.
Is it for use in the aquarium hobby, or does it have an application outside of the hobby?
It's for aquarium. It's for applying background pictures onto the tank. But instead of paying $5 something for one, you could use.
Is that Alexa now?
Yeah.
This is awesome. This is great. We've had the ice cream man. We've had Alexa. Man. Alexa, order me a Flowerhorn.
No, but so anyhow, for instead of paying so much for like a little tiny bottle, just get a spray of cooking oil spray at the 99-cent store or whatever, and then you get the picture, right, the background picture. You cut it to size, and you roll it inwards, and then you put a rubber band on it, let it hold for like a day or so. And then when you're ready to apply it, you wipe the aquarium tank clean with like a Windex, really, really dry, really clean. And then you would pour or spray can the cooking spray all over the glass. And then you would put that the picture on it. And then you would use like a squeegee, like one of those a credit card or a deck of cards, or one of those paint removers, those plastic paint removers, scratch those handle things
for the bubbles.
Yeah, and you would scrape off all the air bubbles, and then wipe the excess off, and then it would stay. And then when you turn the lights on, your picture would pop.
Wow.
Yeah, it looks really neat. So I've been telling people how to do that, because I spent so much money with those little bottles. They're like, I mean, because if you want to do like a 75-gallon tank, a little tiny bottle of that would not last for a huge background. So I just get a can of cooking oil, and that would last you.
And that doesn't, like, there's no going rancid or anything like that?
Nope.
It's just interesting.
Nope. Because once you squeegee it out, it's just like a really, really thin film, but you're never going to see it. You're never going to touch it. Because when it kind of like dries, it dries sticky. So I mean, and you're never gonna see it or smell it because
Interesting.
it's just
Okay.
because it's the back. Yeah.
Wow.
So
Well, that's definitely a cool trick. I mean, I'm so much in the camp of just utilitarian, just slapping black paint on everything. But
yeah,
if I ever did, because I know when I was first in the hobby, back actually around the same time you're talking about, we're talking about your trip to China. So like that
yeah,
2007, 2008 time frame was
yeah,
when I was really into it my first time around into the hobby, and I wasn't painting backgrounds then. I was standard PetSmart, Petco, just getting the black roll sheet. And like anytime you're talking about applying anything with any type of tolerance or anything of that nature, like I'm not your guy. Like I'm not the
yeah.
person that you're going to call to help you do something like that because I'm terrible at it. But it sounds like, I mean, everything that you said makes sense, right? Like because they're usually rolled up, those backgrounds, and so you're saying roll it the other way, so then it kind of folds the
Right.
opposite
In.
way, right? So it
Yes.
folds in, and then
Yes.
it naturally, when you let go, it's going to want to spread itself out.
And it want to hug it, and it's
Uh-huh.
going to want to hug the tank. And so
Yeah.
when you spray the cooking oil thing, it's going to want to stick to that, and then you squeegee it out. But you want to cut it to size first
Mm-hmm.
before you roll it, and then I mean prepare it, like prep everything, and then you want to do that. I've gone through. I use at one point I had over let me see, I had over 60 tanks, and I was painting them, and I was backgrounding them, and I would go through so much money with those little things, and I figured, and then after a while, I'm like, the texture of this, the smell reminds me of cooking oil, and I'm like, why aren't I using like a 99-cent cooking oil spray instead of paying 550 for this little tiny bottle? You just look it up. Go to like any pet store, and then go to like the background section.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see it hanging right next to the backgrounds, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's called Sea View or something like that, and it's just kind of expensive for that. But I
Yeah,
mean,
no, I can. Anytime you start getting into like that real specialist application, it's like the
yeah,
price triples, right? Like it
yeah,
doesn't matter
no,
what it is. It's
because
like the price is going to triple if it's a very very special
yeah,
application.
because like in the past, I would be like I would go buy a background, like a black background, and I would just tape it with Scotch tape. And when you I mean, it looks nice when the lights are off, but when you turn the lights on, it just you see like the air bubbles, or you see spaces in the back, and it just doesn't look like it's part of the tank. It's just
Mm-hmm.
off.
Yeah,
And then I saw that product. I'm like, oh, nice, really cool. And then I learned from using a cheaper way of doing it, and I did it. From now on, I've done it for every one of my tanks, and everyone who wants to do that, I tell them to do that, because it
nice,
makes your
nice,
tank look so much nicer. Um, and it makes the picture, like if you want like to have like any kind of pictures, it makes it pop,
nice.
like 3D. So
Well, hopefully somebody listening to this can pick up on that and try that for their next tank if they were looking to do a background.
yeah, that'd be cool.
All right, hi. So let's get into the Flowerhorn Association now. So what
UFA.
is UFA all about? Because like I said, you're a co-founder of this. So what was the
Yes.
genesis of the UFA?
Okay, so we had our meeting, group parties and stuff with that Flowerhorn craze website thing, and I met this person. His name is Albert de la Cruz, and then we were like chatting and talking and stuff, and then he says, "Hey, you want to do something like start like a group thing on Facebook, and then just like maybe make competitions and things like that." And I'm like, okay, that sounds cool. So he made up a group on Facebook called the uh, Facebook Flowerhorn Hobbyists, which is FFH. That's our the main hub of our whole Flowerhorn thing. And then we started. We want that to be like the whole Flowerhorn, whoever wants to look for Flowerhorns, do that. And then we're like, let's do a United Flowerhorn Association thing, to where people can learn more about it, and then so that we can spread out to different countries. United Flowerhorn India, United Flowerhorn Mexico, United Flowerhorn Canada. So we have over like 30 different countries with UFA, and then and so we're like, okay, let's just hopefully we can have those, and then but have people come back to the Facebook Flowerhorn hobbyists, to be like the mother of the place, because every country has their own specific thing. Like right now we have the UFA USA, which is mostly for United States residents, and then we do things here for the US, and then we have in India, they do things there for Indian hobbyists, but it's still, and then we want them to come back to the FFH group anyway to share everything else,
And how has that been working out so far?
Very nice. It's
nice.
been working. Yeah, it's been working out very good. We have admins from different countries to help take care of different groups and their own things, and then everybody comes back to the FFH Facebook Flowerhorn hobbyists to share what's going on within the countries.
Wow. So it sounds like from two fish nerds, right? That started on a basically started on a forum, and you guys actually started meeting physically, like in person at let's just assume somewhere in Southern California. And when did you and Albert, when did you guys decide, like, hey, let's try to make this a little bit more official? Let's try to make this a little bit bigger. What year was that?
Well, that was in 2010 is when we started, doing those things and say, because here's like I was just, Albert and I were just talking. We're like, let's do this, but let's do this for the hobby and for the hobbyists. We don't want to do this because we want to be known, and we don't want to be famous or anything like that. That's not our agenda. We don't have any kind of agenda to being somebody, because we love the fish so much. We love the hobby, the passion. It's like we just want to share that. We want to make Flowerhorns a household name for everyone. We want to take it to a higher level of having everyone. When we see people, we're like new hobbyists, and we see people, oh yeah, I know that fish, whatever, it makes us happy. It makes us like, awesome, yes, the fish is spreading the word of the fish. It's so cool.
Yeah,
it's
definitely. Like, and so help us understand kind of where it has grown in the past 9 years. So so you said we've got a UFA kind of chapter, if you will, in 30 different countries. What's the membership role like? Like, how many members? Like, who's the largest country of UFA membership? Okay. And then, like, let me know how many people that is, and what's like the second largest country on there.
Well, okay. So Facebook Flowerhorn Hobbyists is the biggest. We have over like 58,000, almost 60,000 members.
Wow.
But each country, at least, I think the US has the biggest. The US has like over 8,000 or 9,000 members. And then the other, Philippines, then India, they all have like maybe 3,000-4,000 each. And Australia.
Yeah, that's cool. Now, did you guys ever think that when you're talking about this in 2010 that it would catch on and have this many people across the world with this many, because it extends beyond just a Facebook group. It's actual like people meeting up, competitions, and right. People just sharing the love for this fish, right? It's one thing to create a Facebook group. Don't get me wrong. Like I think almost anybody with a Facebook account can do that, but to take it to the next level where it's global and then you're actually having coordinated, judged competitions, like that seems pretty surreal if I were you guys.
Yeah. Well, because we never like everything we do, we don't want to do it for to make it bigger or louder or whatever. Everything we do is because we want to do, and we never picture having competitions in India. They just had their 8th competition last weekend, and then we never picture of having competitions in Vietnam. And then I got to travel to Singapore to do our competition in Singapore, and then I got to meet a lot of the original breeders and people, and then Thailand, and it's like, no, we never thought of anything like, how big it could get. But we appreciate everyone who participates in our forums and our groups and everything. Because there's so many Flowerhorn pages out there. There's so many groups out there. But we appreciate everyone who supports UFA by being a part of, our mission and our passion. It's not like, we're not there to say, okay, our group is bigger, our group is better. No, It doesn't. As long as you're a Flowerhorn hobbyist, that's all that mattered to us. And it's like we do these competitions, right? We hold these Flowerhorn competitions because we want people to share their grooming skills and their knowledge, and then to have people commingling with people that they've never might not even have a chance to meet in person, if anything, like. And then we do these competitions, and people come from all different places of the United States or whatever, and then they meet up and like, oh yeah, I remember talking to you, or something like that, and I've always talked to you online and it's great to meet you in person, things. And then it builds, and then they would bring their family, and they would bring their friends, and then they would see, oh, what kind of fish is this? And then you get new hobbyists, out of that.
Yeah, and I'm a broken record when it comes to doing whatever we can in a positive manner to bring people into this hobby. And I've talked about it with you before, and in some of our in one of our conversations leading up to this, and people have heard me mention this before, that the tropical fish hobby is so multifaceted. There's so many aspects of it that people can be involved with, right? So you start with the glass box with water in it, but you could just go down the rabbit hole with just plants. You could go down the rabbit hole with community tanks. You can go down the rabbit hole with setting up an entire fish room just for breeding, small tetras. And then you can go down the rabbit hole of Flowerhorns and, whatever's going to get people into the hobby. Because, most of the times you'll dabble and try a bunch of different things, and having that one, having that one passion within that multifaceted hobby, I think is so awesome. In how, somebody could be in the bichers and I'll probably never own one of those fish, but I can appreciate it. And I'm just so happy that there are people that enjoy that fish and they are in the hobby and they can be a part of a local fish club, and have conversations and inform me and teach me. And so this is yet just one more facet in this tropical fish hobby that we can get more people in, right? Like no other fish, like let's just hypothetically say, people come into some of these events, guppies, nope. Bichers, nope. Catfish, nope. Corridors, that's kind of cute, but I'd never want one of those. But they see a flowerhorn and they're like, that's the thing for me. Like it just clicks. And I think there is something like that for everybody in this hobby. Me wanting to bring somebody from UFA onto the show to talk about it, to bring attention to Flowerhorns, and hopefully somehow through this, if you're already listening to this podcast, you're probably a fish nerd, but if there's some way to get somebody else involved because of the conversation you and I are having, like that's just all gravy for me. And I think that's what we need to be promoting. And that's why I really appreciate what you and Albert have started with this and everybody else that's involved with UFA.
Well, I appreciate you having us. I appreciate you bringing UFA into your podcast and then talking about Flowerhorns, because we want that. Our main thing is just to take Flowerhorns to the next level, and no matter however we do and whatever we can do to bring awareness to Flowerhorns, that would be so great, and for us to be able to talk to you and for you to share with your podcast listeners, and then hopefully we could have them enjoy having a Flowerhorn in their tanks as well. I mean, it's just great to have something different. And I mean, the Flowerhorn fish is a very unique fish. They have like the best characters. They're like a wet pet, kind of like a wet dog kind of a deal,
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, I totally agree. And when you talked earlier about, having Oscars have a ton of personality, but Flowerhorns, like they take it to the next level. And people know I have a passion. Like I've got a soft spot for Oscars. I've had them before. So you and I have a similarity there. But I've also had Flowerhorns. I've had a male female pair of Flowerhorns. And I love those fish, but the Flowerhorn takes the personality. They take the wet pet to the next level, and they are just stunning, like the pearls and the script writing on it. Now, I will say for me personally, the Coke, I like them a little bit on the smaller side. I don't need the massive prosperity, like mastermind kind of globe thing, or megamind, whatever the cartoon character is. I could do with the medium size one, but they are such a stunning and super cool fish.
The thing is, everybody sees beauty in their own eye. So to you, you may not like the bigger size. To me, I prefer a bigger size. I mean, because there's different. Okay, so there's SRD, which is super red dragons. There's Canfas, and there's like faders, and there's Thai silks. Me personally, I like the super red dragons to have a big Coke. The biggest Coke there is, and because that's the uniqueness of it. And then for the Canfa, Canfas usually don't really have big size cokes, but now they're producing them to be bigger, so it's nice. But everybody has their own choices, and it's great that you may not like to have a big one, and there are smaller sized ones for you, and that's the unique thing about Flowerhorns, is that not one is exactly the same. Everyone is different. Every Flowerhorn is different, because they're not like because they're like a hybrid, and they're man-made, so they're not going to look the same. They may resemble one another, but not everyone's, because the pearls are different patterns and everything. Coloration.
Yeah,
and
I was going to say. I mean, between the pearls and the script on the side of the body alone, like that's practically a fingerprint. Like, I mean, it would be insane if, like, people that have never seen a Flowerhorn before, one of the things I want to do, maybe not in this while we're talking now, but after, is to have what you think is a good link for people to go to check out the different types of Flowerhorns. The Comfas and the Faders and all of these. Like, hopefully there's a good resource that kind of breaks it down, by type, visually, what these fish are. But they're incredibly stunning. But yeah, I'd be so hard pressed to think that, between the pearls and the script and the size of the coke, that you are ever going to find one of these guys that, they're the exact same. There are going to be some that look similar, right? But right. I mean, they're just very, very unique fish.
The thing is, people think that the scripts are tattoos, but none of these are tattooed. None of them have nothing plastic done onto them.
Well, just show a Trimac.
It's just natural.
You just show a Trimac, and the Trimac already has that kind of script-esque on it.
Yeah. And the thing is, if your listeners would like to check out some other stuff, then you can always log on to the UFA USA face on Facebook, or just type up UFA and go onto our UFA USA group or Facebook Flowerhorn Hobbyist. You'll see tons and tons of pictures, and there will be people, breeders and sellers, posting their fish daily. And then, or you can just check out the history of our pictures and go through that. And we have a lot of people posting their competitive fish and their collections and things like that. So there will be plenty of pictures to see and to look at for
nice. So I'll make
UFA USA.
Yeah, I'll make sure I've got those links in the show notes for people to just do that direct click and jump into those Facebook groups to check it out. Now, recently there was Aquashella Dallas, and there was a Flowerhorn competition. Now, I was scheduled to go to that, but just due to family, my wife is expecting our second kid. Mm-hmm. I was on travel restrictions, so I couldn't go and attend Aquashella Dallas. But give me a recap. Like, how did that event go? Daddy
duty. Yeah. Daddy duty is calling, right?
Daddy, exactly.
So I wasn't there as well. Because I was just in Texas like the week before. Anyway, for a family wedding thing, so I couldn't be there the next week. But we have our admins there. Aquashella was kind enough to allow us to have a booth, and then they provided tanks and water and everything for us. And then we had people from within the Texas area bring their fish for a competition and to show off their fish, and then it was a really, really, really good, successful show. It's great because a lot of people from who attend Aquashella have never seen or heard of a Flowerhorn, and so they're like, wow, what is that? So it's great. It was a great thing. So it was very successful for us.
Nice. And then real quick, so in these competitions, what are the different classes and kind of what's being judged?
Okay, so for the competitions, we usually have the ZZ category. ZZ is mainly for super red dragons and red dragons. The KK, which is a Kamfas, and then we'd have like a what do you call it?
Faders? Monkeys? I don't know. I'm just going to throw out the Flowerhorn terms that I know, like a random potpourri of fish.
No, we're gonna also have SRT, which is the Super Red Texas, and then it's Super SRM, which is a Super Red Monkey. And within each category, we would have a large size and a small size, like a large KK, small KK, large ZZ, small ZZ.
The literal size of the fish.
Right. Okay. ZZ stands for the Zenzu, and then a KK for King Kamfa. So and then so we would judge amongst that. And then we would place them first, second, third. And then we would have people's choice. We would have the best color, best pearls. And then we would have the grand champion. The grand champion is the fish that's the one that's stands above everyone else on there.
Nice. And,
so,
and I'm going to assume that you've served as a judge in some of these competitions before, right?
I have.
Okay.
I have.
How stressful is it? I mean, what has been your experience as a judge?
It is very so the most stressful judging I've had was when I was in Singapore. It took a whole day. It was like 12 hours literally. It was because judging in Asia is totally different than judging in the United States, because they have their own judging criteria and things like that. So we go through that, even though it's with UFA, we have, because in Asia, they have their own organizations and stuff. And so we want to to accompany them and make them feel like, they're not being pushed away, kind of a deal,
Mm-hmm.
So they have their own thing, but then they still do what our UFA list and categories and things like that. They'll follow whatever we do, but still. But the judging is very, very tiring. You have to go through the fish, and you have to see how the fish reacts to you, and you have to see how you have to pick out the fish's pearlings, the colors, how the fins, and judging. When we judge the fish on how the fish presents itself the day of the judging. Because sometimes people are saying, their fish might not get first place, but they might get second place or third place. And they're like, my fish is so nice. Your fish is so nice at home, but when your fish is at the judging area, has it performed to the judges to where it should be, and does it look as nice as it does? You know what I mean? So judging is very, very, very tough, and we have to go through all that, and you have to give points and deduct points and give points for what it's a rigorous job, and you have to calculate the whole thing. But we are finally this time we're going to be having the next competition we're going to be having is in Northern California, and we finally have a tablet that we will be able to just plot in numbers, and it would actually calculate everything for us, and it's going to be really cool.
Oh,
we got a program.
You got an app.
We got an app, yeah.
Nice.
We finally got an app, and it's going to be really cool. So it's going to make things a little bit easier for
very nice.
the judges.
So why don't we go ahead and now I know release schedule timing wise, it is we're going to miss the NorCal event as far as getting it out there, but why don't you just give a kind of a real quick advertisement for that NorCal event, and then what are the next events that are going to be coming out in the USA?
Okay, so NorCal is going to be held in Sacramento. It's going to be held at the Aqua Craze, which is owned by Julie Tran and Luke Yang. They are one of the U.S. transshippers, and it will be in NorCal on April 27th, Saturday. That's our next competition. So then the next one we're going to have would be in East Coast, which is in New York, at the Monsters Aquarium in Flushing, New York, by John Ip, and that would be June 22nd. And then we will have another competition in the next one would be in July, which is going to be for the Southern California. We call it the SoCal competition, which is going to be held at PMP in Cypress. And then after that, we're going to have another NorCal at the same place in Sacramento in October.
Hi, this is crazy. How many events do you guys have? This is crazy and awesome, all wrapped up, man.
It is. It's very crazy. But the thing is, we have people from all over the country that can't participate at every one of them. So we try our best to spread it out. We have another one in Midwest, in Chicago. I forgot. It's going to be Aquashella Chicago. And I think that one is going to be in September, I believe.
Yeah, I heard that one. The scheduling's kind of up in the air as of right now. I should be at that event.
Okay, we're going to have our Midwest competition there, and then NorCal, and then we're going to have in New Jersey, which is the Aquatic Experience.
Yep, and I'll probably be there for that too. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have one there as well. So it's just crazy. This is just for the United States. This is not counting Canada or Mexico or India. India, we just had one last weekend or 2 weeks ago, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
when's the next Canadian event coming in? Because there's a good number of Canadians that listen to this podcast.
Oh, okay. There's a Canadian one that's coming up. I forget if you can check on our UFA Canada, UFA Canada, there we'd have information there about the upcoming Canadian competition. I believe it's free to enter for that. So, but then you get win trophies and stuff. So it's just
wow. And so just going to basic economics, supply and demand. So clearly, like, there's just this pent up demand for this, right? Like, in order to supply this many events, there just has to be this demand that people want to participate in Flowerhorn shows.
Yes, there is a big demand, and because it's nice to grow your fish and to groom it and stuff, but it's nicer to show it off and to see what, and then to win a trophy on it, to see, because it's an awesome thing to have bragging rights sometimes.
So how many entrants are you getting, and are you turning anybody away?
No, we don't turn people away. But like 50, 60 ish.
Wow. At each competition, you're getting between 50 and 60 people, and you rattled off like 10 different U.S. competitions coming up this year.
Yeah, in Singapore we had 205.
Wow.
Yeah, and then in Philippines we had about 200 and something as well. In New York we had, I think 60 was the biggest we had in New York. So
wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's nice, and it's great to see people, showing off their fish, and it's great to meet people and to see how everyone is just enjoying the hobby, and enjoying the fish. And, because at the end of the day, this is a relaxing thing, supposedly, and it's great.
Allegedly fish keeping is relaxing.
relaxing-ish.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So,
and actually, I'd be remiss if I let you off the interview before we talked about just the graphics, the swag, the trophies that come along with the UFA, because that was one of the first things that I noticed, especially with looking at the Aquashella Dallas lineup and all the events that were going to go on. And I had told Corey and other people in kind of like my fish circle that one of the things I was going to miss the most about going to Dallas was the Flowerhorn competition. I really wanted to go there, and then and it was just not even just going to see the Flowerhorns, but it was also the opportunity to get one of those T-shirts, because your guys' swag is just so on point, man. Your posters for these events, it's like Hollywood quality. It's just crazy how professional your artwork is.
I feel so honored for you to say that. I mean, it's so great to hear that, because we work so hard in trying to make things nice and trying to make things eye-catching. We have a designer in the Philippines. His name is Peter Paul. He is the best designer ever. I mean, you give him an idea, he'll run off with it. He'll just come back and he'll say, this is what I have, blah, blah, blah. And then I'll say, you know what? Let's do it like this. Let's add this. Let's add that. And we'll just work together. And then the final product is just amazing.
No, it's amazing, because I've been looking for some freelance work on Fiverr for various work projects and whatnot, and it is so hard to find good quality artistic work with somebody that isn't in your organization or somebody that you're not directly in contact with, right? You're just kind of working through messages, and how I guess if I were to put a price tag on the work that you're doing, like it would be through the roof if somebody were to contract this person, if they were US based or whatever it may be. Like, the quality of work is that high, and it's just one of those things that, to me, it adds credibility to your guys' event, right? Like, it doesn't look like Randy took some magic markers and made a Flowerhorn poster for you guys, and then you also duplicated that on your T-shirt, and it looks like crap and nobody wants to buy it. Like, this looks like this is just some of the most legit marketing material and swag that's out there right now. And I know Eric Martins of Disco Bee, I told him he's got a legit shirt, but man, you guys, your swag is on point.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that. It's great to hear that, actually, because, and I'm very proud of having Peter Paul on our team, and then just because he's just because his time is different than our time, because right now it's nighttime for them, and then when it's nighttime for us, it's morning for them. So sometimes it's kind of hard to communicate, because we're opposite times on the time zones. But we make it through. Sometimes we'll stay up late. Sometimes he'll stay up late, and then we'll be there to work it through and throw ideas, and then just I'm very, very proud of Peter Paul, and then just give him like 1,000% credit for everything he did, because he's done so much for our group and posters and stuff. Have you seen our calendars?
Oh no, I have calendars. Not. You've got calendars? Oh my goodness.
We have calendars. We have calendars. Every year we have a calendar.
Don't do it to me, man. Don't do it to me.
Yeah. It's really nice too. So
that's fantastic. Well, hopefully that is enough of a teaser of kind of a grabber for the folks listening to this, and we do have a global audience. So, everybody, you heard that there's 30 UFA kind of associations or chapters in 30 different countries out there. So, go to the Flowerhorn Hobbyist Facebook page, click on the links in the show notes, check out the respective UFA chapter for your country, and just look at the swag, look at the posters that I'm talking about. And then my challenge to you is find when the next Flowerhorn competition in your area is going to be. And if it happens to be like, if it's less than like a 45-minute drive, like let's say an hour drive on the weekend, you got to go. Like if you're into this hobby, you've never kept a Flowerhorn, go to one of these competitions. If you're in Canada, in the United States, like wherever they're happening, they just had one in India, go check it out. And I'd be so hard pressed for you not to think like Hi and I do that this thing is these beautiful, beautiful fish are wet pets. They've got a ton of personality. You do have to have a larger tank. They're not going to be for everybody, but I would challenge you not to have an appreciation for how cool these fish are. If you actually went in person to one of their events. And so, click on the links in the show notes, check it out, look at the posters, look at the swag, go check out the events. I don't think you'll be disappointed.
Could I add something as well, Randy?
Of course.
Since because we are not like we don't make money from doing any of this, it's very important that people help support us by buying our products. Like we have T-shirts and we have calendars and we have mugs and we have keychains, we have stickers, and it's very important that that we have people who support us in buying those things, because buying those will help us do more. Because every penny that we make goes back towards the hobby, goes back towards the hobbyists, because we give back. Like sometimes we will give a free fish away, or we'll give free T-shirts away, or calendars away, or something like that. And it's really important for people to help support us by helping us, sponsoring or something, because a lot of times it's money out of our own pockets. We do this for the hobby and for the hobbyists, and we use our own money to put into this hobby. So it's really crucial and really important for people to do help support us by doing things like that, purchasing some stuff or just sponsoring or something like that. That would be great for us too, because without support, we can't do what we do.
I'm looking at the United Flowerhorn Association Facebook page that I'm a member of, and you have the listing for the T-shirts that are on sale right now, or the pre-order for the NorCal event, and $21.99 shipped for an amazing front and back. Like this isn't just a front print, like this is front and back. And like I'm not even going to try to describe this shirt. You guys just need to go and look at it. It is freaking awesome. Like it is such a freaking awesome T-shirt that at $22, like I'm buying one from you guys. I'm buying the mug, I'm buying the calendar, all this stuff.
Yeah. And we have a Georgia. Oh, I forgot about it. We have a Georgia competition coming up.
Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah, I just scrolled down. So May 25th.
There's a Georgia in May. Yes.
Everywhere.
That's another competition. I've told in Duluth, Georgia.
And that's in Aquatics tropical fish.
Aquatics, right.
Yeah. So
totally forgot about that one.
Yeah, I mean everywhere. You guys are everywhere. This is crazy.
It's good. We want to have people know the Flowerhorn pets, that the fish, and just have everyone just understand that, this is a great fish to have,
I'm just obsessed with the T-shirts, man. I have to collect them all. Is there a Georgia T-shirt?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
There's one for the Georgia. And we also have UFA T-shirts, just like just UFA T-shirt with the Coke and everything.
Mm-hmm. I did get your. I do have a sticker. So last year's aquatic experience, you guys had a little presence there. No competition or anything, but I managed to get a sticker, so that was kind of cool.
Okay, that's cool.
But yeah, man, your guys' This stuff is just so good. So good.
Well, thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
Well, we've definitely gone beyond that 45-minute sweet mark, but I've had a great time talking with you, and I hope the listeners are just a little bit more intrigued, and I hope they go and check these links out, and they'll be a little bit more appreciative, and really see what guys like you, guys and gals that are so passionate about one type of fish, to the point where they're going to go and sacrifice so much of their free time to put on these events. I just hope that they have an appreciation for that. So I appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you so much again.
Well, thank you for having us, and thank you for helping share the passion and the love that we have for Flowerhorns, and helping talk about United Flowerhorn Association. Because without you, people like you, to help share the UFA, then we won't be anywhere. So I appreciate having to be on the show, and appreciate you.